Hello. If you are watching this video for the first time, consider yourself lucky. I released this video 2 months ago and my voiceover sounded like shit, my script wasn't long enough for certain parts, and I thought background music was a bad idea. But since then, I fixed 2 of those problems. You will no longer hear mouth noises. Rejoice. And there's music in the background, but sadly I can't fix my script. And I'm not redoing the hour-and-a-half long voiceover.
You think this is funny?
In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary crabby... Oh my goodness!
So, here's the new and improved Does the Garden of Eyes Suck video. I don't know, it's 1 in the morning, I just want to go to fucking bed. Elden Ring has a lot of mods on Nexus, but one of them isn't on there, the Garden of Eyes, due to it being a Patreon pay-to-play system. So because of that, most people consider it to be pretty bad and not worth your time. But today, I wanted to see if it was actually worth playing and if it deserves to be in the terms one of the big 3 mods for Elden Ring. So with that, I think there's no better way to get this video started than actually play the mod. Starting off, there were 3 new starting classes. None of them piqued my interest, and this mod didn't seem to be something that I want to use new starting classes for. So I just ignored them, and instead I picked the usual samurai class to get this started. Loading into the world, I noticed one of 2 things. Number 1, there's a new running animation if you're one-handing a weapon, and the second thing is a new item, the Codex of Time. This item just takes you to the wiki, which I do use quite a few times during this playthrough, but I found it to really not be that helpful, and instead, the descriptions for certain locations of items just were more cryptic than they were helpful. Actually opening the door, I get a message saying midnight is here, foes are now harder, but yield a higher reward. It's a system that basically makes it to where all enemies do increased damage and have more runes dropped, but at the cost of them being more difficult. I also noticed a new area in the starting area, which is a nice sentence, but I ultimately found that there wasn't a way to actually get to it from the starting area, so it was just teasing me. I noticed the Grafted Scion was replaced with the Sight of Grace, before getting catfished by a Royal Remnant, who on top of being a pretty difficult enemy is also enhanced due to it being midnight, and as you can see I'm doing a lot of damage, and he does a lot of damage to me. That's a fun way to introduce a new change to your mod. Now at this point, it's been 5 minutes of me playing through here. Nothing too crazy has happened at this point, and honestly, the changes have been minimal. I checked the map to see if anything was changed on the map, and I noticed a new thing called the Council of the Crucible Knights. I won't talk about it right now because I'm not actually there, but second thing to put, I opened the door to Limgrave and it's really gray. Like, really, really gray. It's some like COD Ghost level of gray. It does end up getting better colors the closer I get, but I mean, it's weirdly gray when you first open the door. I get my Honda Accord from Malenia, which now will kick off the actual portion of the run where I just run around and go collect items. So, time to just skip over that real quick and show what I grabbed. I grabbed the Physic tier because it's the Physic tier, I grabbed the Charge Attack tier for that Physic tier, and I get the Axe Talisman after I missed the chest. I also head over to Fort Height to get the Dectus Medallion, but it's also midnight, so now everything here is harder, and at a base game level character with a +0 weapon, let's see how I fare against tougher enemies. 4 hits, and then I get 1 shot. Yeah, I genuinely have no idea what this whole new midnight mode is for. It doesn't make any sense. I do get my revenge on the knight, now that it is the daytime, to get Bloody Slash, which will help out when killing the giant rune farm of a dragon in Dragon Barrow. And of course, I get the Dectus half that sits here, and I make my way towards Dragon Barrow to get the other half and to get to the rune farm of a dragon. On my way there, I get kidnapped by Malenia to go to the Roundtable Hold, but I'm pleasantly surprised by not only this loading screen that I don't understand anything of, but the Roundtable Hold doesn't exist anymore. It's completely trashed. Not a single thing left here. Of course, besides this glowing arrow that's pointing me to jump. So I do, thinking that potentially the bottom floor was renovated to be the Roundtable Hold, but no, it's also in rubble. So I run towards the usually unopenable door, and it opens. To reveal... Okay, alright. We let him cook, and we get a full meal here. I'll be honest, it's a pretty cool area, but I go towards the Garden of Eyes statue, which allows me to get every new incantation and spell at the beginning. I don't end up using this because it's kind of cheap and just would make it to be really easy to go through the game because you could just pick the best weapon and just go through the game with ease. So I don't end up using it for any of the weapons, the armor, or the sorceries or incantations, but I do get a few new horses from the goods and equipment shop. There are quite a few new horses, and some of them actually come from the starting classes that I skipped over. So that's kind of funny. Another cool thing to note is that Mohg now sells Smithing Stone 1 and 2 and Somber Smithing Stone 1 and 2s infinitely, making the early portions of the game a lot easier to go through and a lot quicker. I also noticed this guy right here who's just kind of here. Apparently he's stuck in time, and if you unstuck him, he sells some form of a new time sorcery, which, okay, I never end up figuring it out, but, you know, it's whatever. I end up cheesing the Knight's Gallery, which definitely didn't take me like 5 minutes. And here you can see my new Honda Accord that I got. It's gold. I end up pumping my levels into Dexterity and Vigor because usually I skip the Vigor aspect, but at the prospect of potentially new bosses, I was a little terrified to, you know, go in there with Rune level 1 levels of HP. I also go and get the other half of the Dectus Medallion, and also get the ever-important Radagon Sword Seal for the beginning of the game. I also noticed that I can open the map even if I'm in combat. I just can't teleport, which is kind of dumb. So, watch me as I try to get through the rats. I successfully make it past the rats. If I had put Radagon Sword Seal on already, I would have been surely dead at that point. But luckily, I can make my grand escape out of this hellhole and run into a wall. Now, usually I would just skip over this section of me stabbing the giant dragon's ankles, but I noticed that I now have a halo. It's a new feature with the Garden of Eyes where the more light attacks you hit, you get a special heavy attack. If you do a charge heavy with one of those rings, it'll do a fun little attack on top of it. For bleed weapons, it's the Thorn Sorceries. I don't know why I struggled to think of what it was, but then again, Thorn Sorcery is pretty useless. And here it is in action. At first I thought it was the dragon attacking me, but no, this is actually just how weapons work. Whatever element it uses, you'll get that type of special attack with the heavy attack. It's pretty cool in concept, but it's kind of also overpowered with certain weapons that you'll see later. I kill the dragon and again pump my levels into Dexterity and Vigor, and at this point I'm pretty sure I'm ready with a +0 weapon that I can kill Morgott. But as I ran up to get to Morgott, I get invaded by somebody. These invasions usually are how you get the new armor and some of the new weapons in the game, but they put the invasions at the worst possible areas in the entire game, i.e. right up here where all of these Godric soldiers are just chilling. Because of that, these invasions are pretty annoying to go against, plus they changed them to be pink, so you'll know which ones are which, but I also kind of find it annoying because I didn't know what I was looking for until I see a pink dragon rushing me with murderous intent. This one also gets access to dragon incantations, which made him kind of annoying to fight. He was a bit of a nuisance because of those incantations, because that also included Dragon's Breath, as you can see here, which has some pretty good range and some pretty good damage. And at this point, I'm out of flask, but my brain also kicks in and remembers I have a shield with the parry skill on it, and use it to subsequently destroy this piece of shit. Giving me access to the Black Dragon armor. Kinda cool armor set, although it is more bronze than it is black, but you know, it's whatever. Still pretty cool looking. I don't wear it because it pushes me into medium load, which I don't really want to have it be at this early in the game, so off to the dumpster it goes, I guess. Now it's time for Morgott. Now, I was confident I could do it with a +0 weapon and some patience, but I'm also kind of an idiot, and I don't have patience, so as you'll see, I do this kind of fun little dancing thing with Morgott for like 5 minutes. Yeah, this fight goes on for like 5 minutes, because I didn't upgrade my weapon at all, because I am a doofus. And as you can see, that will subsequently get me killed. Not yet, though. That comes right about now. I decided to get a better weapon in the Bloodhound's Fang to make the earlier portions a bit easier, because the Bloodhound's Fang is the Bloodhound's Fang. So, of course, I easily kill the Bloodhound Knight. First try. What? There wasn't another try. This is the first time I fought him. I don't English very well, but I'm very good at slaying bosses. First try, GG easy. I also stupidly go to Mohg to actually upgrade my weapon with access to these somber ones, but I don't actually have enough runes to even upgrade it. So, I guess it's time to fight Morgott with a +0 Bloodhound's Fang, which should be fine, it is the Bloodhound's Fang. Which is proven right here, with this fight that goes insanely easier because the Bloodhound's Fang is just stupidly good. Although I am a master of the whiff. Luckily, I do get a stagger, pushing him into second phase, which also, in tandem with this charged heavy, procs a bleed, making him already at a quarter of his health before phase 2 even properly starts, and I get him another stagger after he does the long sweeping attack, which, with that, is the end of Morgott the Fell. With that, I get Morgott's Cane, a new weapon. I can't use it because it has an insanely high dex requirement and a pretty decent faith requirement, but hey, it's pretty cool. I am a fan of using weapons that you don't think would be weapons to win, but it also gets access to some of the cool holy weapons that Morgott gets access to. So, pretty good. I make my way up to Stormveil Castle and get an FPS drop, and a giant bird who only has wings for animation flies overhead. I'm just as confused as you guys. But with that, it's time to fight Godric. Now, I'm gonna be honest, when writing the script for this, I didn't have anything funny to say for Godric. It's just Godric. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. saying his name is already funny enough because Godric is God, but Rick. So, yeah, pretty easy fight. Seeing as he's a demigod that you can just strafe past his big attack. GG easy first try. I don't get anything special from doing it, so it's just kind of another Great Rune boss for me, which is funny. I make my way up to Liurnia, and at first I don't notice anything. It's just Liurnia. I never care to look at the lights or anything pretty. And then... am I colorblind, or is everybody else seeing this? It's looking awfully, red. I go over to get the Raya Lucaria key and grab it. And accidentally broke it, apparently. Apparently now the Raya Lucaria key is actually just broken. It's unusable. Which is an interesting change to how you get in there with all the other changes. I had the EG to get a +4 somber weapon because EG is a goat like that, and at this point I have no clue where the key is, so I say, fuck it, let's go to Raya Lucaria. I make it into Caria Manor and grab a lightning Zweihander that's just chilling on the ground. One thing I failed to mention earlier is that whatever affinity you have on your weapon, it now actually just appears on it, which is kind of cool. I also noticed a Garden of Eyes symbol, but there wasn't a boss attached to it like the other ones we'll find later in the video, and I get invaded by a Looking Glass Knight. Now, once again, this is a terrible area to fight an invasion, so I just book it and hopefully he'll despawn. Luckily, I was right, and he did despawn after I got into the building. Otherwise, Caria Manor wasn't changed all that much. It was just the same area with, like, one new addition and one random weapon chilling on the ground. The only noticeable change is when I entered the boss arena to find a smoking cloud and a cutscene that is a poorly rendered cutscene, and then I noticed that this is Rennala's cutscene. And I'm proven when Rennala pops up with a new goth mommy look to accompany her newly positioned. So yeah, now Rennala is here, and there's no first phase where she's not able to move. She's just her second phase with a new look and some melee attacks built in, which is kind of cool. She also only has one summon, which is Blide, which is kind of terrifying, but, you know, whatever. And it also isn't like he's constantly summoned, he just periodically pops in and says, "What up?" I eventually get Rennala in a second phase, where she does this. And then all of a sudden, before I realize what's going on, Radahn pops up and hammers my shit in. Well, this is interesting. So, yeah, in first phase, she gets Blide. Second phase, she gets Radahn, her ex-husband. Which is actually kind of cool. I like that change. But Rennala is still Rennala, so I end up getting the kill. But Radahn is just not built different and doesn't kill me. I also get this secret key, which I was hoping would open up Raya Lucaria. And Radahn also wanted to know. Heading back towards the door, I went to open it, and it just tells me that I should have gone to Caria Manor. I went there out of just pure suspicion. Apparently, I am actually kind of intelligent. But I also have no clue how to get in the damn place now. I talked to Ronnie, and hopefully she would give me something that would allow me to actually enter the goddamn location, but nope, it's just her normal questline. I actually had to Google it and found out that the teleporters up in this random mountain actually take you there now. Which, like, Who could have figured that one out? You could read the item description, but I saw the location and went, I have no clue where that is. So literally had to Google it up and figured it out. And with that, I finally make it to the Blood Sanctum of Raya Lucaria, just so I could get all the way to the Altus Plateau. I didn't even want to get here to actually fight whatever's in Rennala's spot. I just wanted to get to the Altus Plateau so I could fight Radahn and get to the DLC. Speaking of getting to Radahn, I head over towards him before I eventually not only get attacked by birds, but get invaded in the worst area possible. Luckily, the guy who invaded me was kind of a pushover, and I was just able to clown on him. But seriously, these invasions are put in some seriously bad spots, and kinda sucks, because now I've got to worry about not only the actual invader, but the bosses or enemies in the area. I do end up getting his armor and a new weapon, the Fume Ultra Greatsword, which when one-handed becomes a light greatsword moveset, which is, you know, pretty cool. But two-handing it causes a Ultra Greatsword to come out and changes the moveset up. I think this is kind of cool. I don't end up using it, it's not really my style. I go to fight Radahn, but notice a new item. The Challenge Runner's Mark. An item that, when equipped in your talisman slot, will double the amount of runes you get, at the cost of you having rune level 1 levels of health, but you also get increased stamina. This also will prove to be one of the most useful talismans and one of the most broken talismans later on. Now for Radahn, who is now General Radahn, Conqueror of the Stars, and has invisible swords. I don't know why his swords were invisible, but they are, and that's kind of funny. Nothing else was changed on him. He's still just Radahn, still pretty squishy, with a +4 somber weapon, and, you know, nothing too crazy. You know, besides the invisible swords, of course. So I'm very easily able to take him down. And as you can see, after staggering him, his AI breaks for some reason. His swords pop back up during his death. A weird color square pops up. The terrain changes. A cutscene happened. The arena changed, and then the normal cutscene happens. Okay. Alright. I looked it up, and apparently there's supposed to be a second phase for Radahn where he just starts sending meteors at you and you have to get up to him, and he's at a very, very low HP, so yeah, but that didn't happen for me. Instead, he just died. I think it was because his AI broke, and when he was supposed to fly up in the air for second phase, he didn't, and just died. I also noticed a Garden of Eyes symbol here and hit it to see what happens. To fight Gale. Uh-oh. Well, this is an interesting one. He also almost one-shot me. Funny enough, I made a video on Gale about 5 months ago when I first fought him, and I really enjoyed the boss. It's one of my favorites, actually, now. I tried to give him a second attempt to kind of see how much damage I'm doing to him and see if I'm ready to actually fight him yet. I take one swing at him and yeah, I don't think I'm exactly ready to fight him yet. I mean, 176 damage, that also only did that much, is, well, that's something. I also now, with 3 great runes in my pocket, decide to head over towards the capital and finally answer the question of what is the Council of the Crucible Knights. Well, this looks terrible. Okay, so what exactly is this? Well, apparently the Crucible Knights have been changed. There's only 4 of them in the game, and each one, once you defeat them, will unlock a 5th and final Crucible Knight for you to fight. Each one is kind of cool, with one being a Twin Axe user, one being a Fell Flame user, which is pretty cool, and they're both in pretty interesting areas. But then there's the two that are in the base game, which is Ordovis and Cerulean. Cerulia? Ordovis has been changed to the dragon, and Cerulia is still just a tree. They didn't do anything funny with her. They just, you know, made her the tree still. I also go and fight the Draconic Tree Sentinel, a boss I usually really hate because he's just weird. I don't like him. I've never been a fan, and the mod also bugged him where his Flame Breath attack can just start shooting blanks. I guess the Tree Sentinel's so old right now that, he's starting to do those. But it also just makes the fight more awkward because sometimes his fire breath just won't happen and I will dodge it, and other times I won't dodge it thinking it'll blank and it hits me. And I die. And it's fine, I can get him on the second attempt. With one of those, and... oh, god damn it. There we go. I also remembered to quick slot the challenge runner's mark onto my talisman slot pouch and get 150,000 runes, because of course, as the talisman states, if my math is correct, 50,000 times 2 is 150,000. Makes sense. I understand it now, boss. I also look at the shop to see if there's any cool weapons that I've missed and where I could potentially find them. There are a lot of new weapons that are pretty cool, but one piques my interest, the Frenzied Cultist Twin Scythe. Fun fact, I love the scythes. They're one of my favorite weapon classes in Souls game history, and it's a twin scythe, which, fun fact, one of my favorite characters in all of fiction is somebody named Abyss from DC Comics, who uses a twin scythe. I used the wiki to find the area that it's in, and, yeah, it got a bit of an interesting look over. It's now a Dragon Cultist village and a Frenzied Flame village that is also a Frenzied Cultist village, meaning it's a Frenzied Dragon Incantation village. And after 15 minutes, I finally find the weapon. I immediately equip it, and oh man, that's cool looking. It's got a mixture of its own unique moves, but it's also just Eleanor's Pull Blade, but now it's a twin scythe. While I'm a little disappointed it didn't get its own unique moveset, I am pretty fond of the fact that it's pretty cool looking still. It's also really big. I didn't think it was going to be this big, but I end up using this weapon for most of the playthrough. I'll also head down into Nokron because why not, and find a Deathrite bird chilling here. I don't want to fight that thing. Oh god, it wants to fight me. Maybe if I just stand here... oh, okay. The other enemies in the area are fighting him now. I don't think this was intentional, but it happened. And by the time they all died, he was literally two-shot. But he is still a Deathrite bird, meaning he was still kind of a pain in the ass to kill. GG easy. Killing him activated a portal and this weird shrine, and walking through it takes me to the spirit world of the Helphen. Wow, this is beautiful. This is a cool area. I wonder what fun and interesting boss I get to face up ahead. Bit of a spoiler alert, it's not actually a fun or even cool boss fight. It instead is my introduction to one of the bad aspects of this mod. This is the Helphen twins. I don't know if that's actually what they're called, but that's what I'm calling them. And they are just the gargoyles from DS1, but worse. Because duo fights, especially in DS1, at least with the gargoyles, were fun because, well, the first one would be by himself, you got him to half HP, and the other one would come in at half HP. These guys are just annoying. They're in a smaller arena somehow, an arena that I think is just too small, and they're both weird. The one constantly attacks while the other one doesn't do anything, and it's just a mess. And this one sprouts a second head that one-shots me, and at this point I'm just confused, confuzzled, and yeah. Change of pace, I decided to go fight the Putrid Avatar with the Challenge Owner's Mark equipped because I am a boss like that. But, luckily, it was a GG easy win, which garners me a nice and even amount of a whopping... Holy shit. Okay. That's a lot of runes. Is that even allowed? I dump them into Faith so that I can wield my new Twin Scythe. And also level up some other stats. But now I can finally wield the weapon I wanted to wield, the Frenzied Cultist Twin Scythe. I'm not going to call it that anymore. I'm just going to call it the Twin Scythe because it's the only one like that. I also continue to play around with it, but see that the Ash of War is really cool. And when completing the 2-part Ash of War, you get this cool little flame effect coming out of the mouths of the ancient dragons on the blades. And that's really cool. I actually think this is pretty cool. Although you won't see me do this very often because it is very, very blinding. I genuinely cannot see it. It's so bright. I also go ahead and get the Green Turtle Talisman. I usually get that in the first parts of the game, but I guess I just kind of forgot. Oops, I guess. And I decide that with this weapon doing fire damage, I go to the Putrid Avatar in Caelid to get the Flame Shroud and Crack tier. Now, something interesting. That. The aforementioned rings above your head, that's the attack for this weapon. And it one-shot him. This weird glowing thing pops up, and I don't get the Flame Shroud and Crack tier. Uh-oh. That's not good. The Flame Shroud and Crack tier just wasn't in its usual spot, and instead gave me 2 random tiers? Yeah, I'm very confused at this point, and genuinely don't know what to think. They're just gone. Which is annoying. But it was fine. I go to the Elemental one in Liurnia, and he's actually been changed to the Elemental Avatar, who now does some new moves. And honestly, it's pretty cool. I'm all for these kind of changes that change bosses to make them a little bit more cool and interesting to fight. Although, he's still pretty easy for a Putrid Avatar. I mean, I don't get hit by him. So, you know, all cool now. Also, this guy really wanted to clown on the parade. I get killed by him with a bitch slap, and also notice I still don't have the Flame Shroud and Crack tier. So if the Putrid Avatar in Caelid doesn't have it anymore, and the Elemental one doesn't have it in Liurnia, I have no clue where the Flame Shroud and Crack tier is. And still to this day, I have no fucking clue where it is. It's just non-existent. I even checked the wiki to see if maybe they had it noted where they changed it to. But not even on the wiki was it listed where it got moved to. It just doesn't exist. So, yeah. That's fun. For shits and gigs, I also checked for one that's inside of the outer wall of the capital, and yeah, no, not there either. I make my way to Volcano Manor so that I could abuse the Challenge Runner's Mark on Rykard and also get the Somber 7 Stone so that I can get a +9 weapon. That way that I can make the rest of the game pretty easy and less of a challenge. Although the Godskin Noble is still a challenge in his own right, and my damage isn't that good against him. And he kills me. Well, that's not fun, nor is that good. Luckily, on the second attempt, I used the power of the Ash of War and was able to actually kill him this time. Thank God, too, because I did not want to have to deal with this guy any longer than I already was going to. They also, for some reason, gave me the Dectus medallion. I don't know why. But now it's Rykard time. I don't know what else to say. It's Rykard. Not really much of a challenge. I don't think I'm gonna say anything, honestly, because even when writing the script, I didn't put anything for this fight, besides that he is a giant rune farm. I kill him and get the Serpent Hunter's Mark, which is a talisman that, when equipped, and having the Serpent Hunter equipped, when at low HP, it'll do the attacks that you can do against Rykard outside of the boss arena, which is cool, but I don't really see a point in that, considering that the Serpent Hunter is already a good weapon, just outside of the boss arena, so yeah. I also finally go back and face the Helphen twins with a +9 weapon, and as you can see, it's not going too well. This is the first frustration I have with the mod. This boss sucks. I hate them. I don't like them. I like the idea of there being a Ghost Flame boss, but this is not a fun boss fight. It's random, doesn't make any sense, and is just not fun. Plus, their second phase, when they activate it, you have to run into this tree that usually depletes your HP, but if you stand in it when they're doing their second phase, it'll not. The problem is that one of them could still be doing the second phase transition, meaning at any given point, you could be in it, lose HP, get out of it, lose HP, and then have to go back in and lose more HP. On top of that, they switch places with the scythe-wielding one becoming more aggressive than the other one, but now the other one, rather than just standing there, now throws projectiles at you that do a lot of damage, and also are sometimes invisible. So yeah, this was just not fun, and as you can see, I did not look like I was having fun because I was panicking. The arena is too small, the goddamn boss itself is annoying to fight, and on top of that, they're just a worse version of the gargoyles. And actually, you know, good fight. And at this point, I was at my breaking point and just cheated in the Flame Shouting Graktir. Yeah. Because for some reason, you know, I thought that 20% more flame damage would actually make a difference in the boss fight. And I know some people are probably going to be upset that I cheated it in, but where else was I supposed to get it? The only other location that I had in my head that had it was the mountaintops of the giants, and I was not going to wait until the mountaintops of the giants for 20% more fire damage against the boss that otherwise sucks. So yeah, I cheated it in, and without much surprise, that 20% more fire damage actually was good. That is a lot more damage. This is actually the winning attempt too, so yeah. But I'll be honest, this isn't the first time, or not going to be the last time, that some boss fight is just not good. There will be another one later on that also just sucks a lot. This one, while being annoying and bad in all sense of imaginability, it gets worse. But with the new 20% fire damage, I was luckily able to kill the big brick with ease. Not really ease, that was still kind of challenging. And the second one was actually, I don't know if it's a bug, but every time he did this charging forward teleporting attack, I could stand still and he just wouldn't be able to hit me. Which is funny in every sense of imaginability. But this eventually allowed me to get kill, because I didn't have to move for one of its big attacks. And I finally kill it for probably one of the worst modded boss fights I've ever had to deal with. That was truly horrendous. And that was also a remembrance boss. I don't know why they decided for that to be a remembrance boss. They kinda suck. A lot. I don't like him. I head to the finger reader to see what all that trouble got me. And, the rewards aren't really that good, to be 100% honest. It's just the weapons. Nothing else, just the weapons. Not to mention, they both only cause slight frost buildup. Not full frost, but slight frost buildup. One of them is a scythe, and it looks really cool because of the ghost flame look on the weapon. But, it's also really blinding. Like, it's very hard to see with that thing. I also go to patches to get Morgott's Shackle so that I could easily defeat Morgott, who was coming up next on my hit list. So I make my way to the gold-free fight, expecting it to just be the normal gold-free fight. A fight that I like to actually face. It's one of my favorites. I like fighting Godfrey, and even his golden piss brother is pretty fun to fight. But, to my shock, he wasn't here. Okay, so I assume they did a convergence type thing and replaced him. No. No, they didn't. He's just not here. Okay. So what did they replace him with? Well, they replaced him with 3 trials. The first one was protecting. I had to protect well, as it says down there, the sacred branch. How holy. I just had to protect it for like 3 or 4 minutes from some banished knights and some other Godric soldiers and stuff, so it wasn't that challenging, but it was annoying. But eventually, the enemy stopped spawning for like several seconds. I was very confused. And when they finally spawned back in, there was a lot of them. And then it was over. Just like that. Okay. So, interesting. Now the second trial. The second trial was just surviving. I just had to survive against a bunch of enemies being sent at me. Shouldn't be too challenging, right? Well, yeah. Starting off, it wasn't too challenging. Well, if they would actually spawn in. I mean, this is just kind of funny at this point. But eventually they do spawn in, and it's just some Lanedale soldiers, so nothing too crazy. Although, eventually, during this, they started whipping out some big-ass moves on me, and then an Erdtree avatar just, you know, strolled up. And then, a whole-ass lion. So, yeah. Enter panic mode. I was terrified. But luckily, they forgot to take out the programming of this guy can't fit in here, and he can do damage to all the other enemies that are attacking me. Meaning, he just gave me a freebie on the lion. But then I still had to survive all the other enemies and the Erdtree avatar. Fighting an Erdtree avatar isn't too difficult, but when you have all these other enemies around you, it becomes a bit challenging. And by a bit challenging, I mean, oh my god, I'm panicking. At this point, I had drinking my last heal and was down to the wire when it came to what I could do. And then it finished. That was terrible. I actually hated all of that. But now it was time for the last trial. The trial of the blooded twin. Oh no. If my brain serves me correct, I really hope this isn't what I'm thinking it is. Oh, god damn it! So, yeah, you now have to face Mohg with a super inflated health bar, immune to all status effects, and it's Mohg, a fight that I suck at. So, yeah, I was a bit hesitant and a little upset at this. Do I think this is a good change? Absolutely not. I think this is a terrible change. You could have just replaced him with a new boss like the Convergence did. But instead, they forced me to face one of my least favorite boss fights and get my cheeks clapped. So yeah. I gave it a second attempt, but, yeah. I'm just gonna let the footage play. I hate Mohg. Now for something completely different. I go to get Radahn's Great Rune because that's increased health, stamina, and FP. But my brain forgot that when I was at the Council of the Crucible Knights, it said specifically one of them was in the tower in Caelid. So, heading up here, there was a boss fight. Oh no. So, yeah, this is the Crucible Knight, Devonia the Seraph, who at the start just does this weird flying flurry of attacks that is just non-stop. This fight's like 2.5 minutes, and it spent the first, like, minute just doing this. Yeah. Not a great look so far. Although, I do love the design. I love the twin axe, it looks really, really cool. However, what's not really cool is now it teleports. Why? Teleporting bosses aren't necessarily good ones. I can't think of one good teleporting boss ever. So while it seems like I'm getting my cheeks clapped, which I am, now it was time for second phase, where she does the same flying attacks, but now teleports, and is really easy to dodge. Like, most of them you can just walk around. And it's kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually kind of really funny that I can just walk around most of them. That also took up a good solid like 30 seconds of the boss fight. But luckily I was able to quickly, after that weird flurry of attacks, get the kill. It just took a bit longer because, well, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't like this fight. It was a first try win, but I don't like this fight really too much. It just seems so random and weird that I'm just not a fan of it. It's cool, don't get me wrong, just I don't really know how I feel about all the teleporting and flying and all that other stuff just to get Radahn's Great Rune that most people skip over because people pick Godric's Great Rune most of the time because of the +5 in all stats. So, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I end up running around in Liurnia to see if there was anything I missed, and there was. An entire boss. Now, funny enough, this boss is just a Nameless King first phase copy with not a lot of HP. So, yeah, I don't really know what to say. Again, this is just one of those boss fights that I don't know what to say, man. It's just another boss fight we've seen, but reskinned for Elden Ring. It's not bad, it's just, well, what can I say here? Like, it's just, yeah, cool, but we didn't really need something like that. Now I finally go through Raya Lucaria this time, just kind of doing some stuff to avoid actually fighting Mohg. So, yeah. But Raya Lucaria has actually been changed, besides for me being an idiot and running past the door. They changed it to where you actually have to kind of go around the place. Instead of just the traditional running through the location, running through all the magic enemies, now you actually have to, well, go around Raya Lucaria. Which is fun, not gonna lie. It's a lot more fun than what it was before. The whole reason why you have to now is because the wheel that you usually use to get up to the bait parlor is no longer on, and instead you have to actually make your way down and find a lever to get it to work again. Which is cool. I like this idea. I like having to actually explore a location otherwise I just run through unless I was going for the Caria Knight armor. Now, at this point, I was fairly sure that I was a little too overleveled for the Red Wolf of Radahn, so I just kind of go through and call it a day. But it actually wasn't him. Instead, it was, place name. Oh, sorry, it says it down there. Blood Hunter's Apparition. This is just Maria, but... oh, she's dead now. Okay. Okay. She gave me a... holy shit, she gave me a gun, though. So, you know. That's fun. But then it was time for whoever was in Rennala's spot, and... well... as you're about to see... I wish I didn't know what was in her spot. Because, as the cutscene shows, this is an Elden Beast clone. One of the worst bosses in the entirety of Elden Ring, reskinned. This is Oedon, Oedon. And he, yeah. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, I, don't know what to say, man. It's a cool look. I mean, yeah, it's cool looking, but Elden Beast, but with magic is just, I don't get it, man. Like, yeah, it's cool having a magic Elden Beast, but Elden Beast isn't a good boss to base another boss around. If you want a good boss fight, you don't pick Elden Beast to copy, you probably should pick something else. Also, this boss fight made my chest disappear. And this whole, like, laser beam attack thing, I like it. It's actually kind of cool, but That's it? I don't have anything else to say. I really don't. There's just nothing interesting about this fight besides the fact that the second phase, he turns into some form of a blood version of what he already was and gets a full HP bar now. I don't know, man. It's just, I don't get it. Not only is an Oedon Beast clone not something I've ever wanted on my bucket list, but it was just hard to look out. It's just, I don't like it. I have nothing else to say. It's hard to look at. The boss itself wasn't anything interesting. A total, 3 out of 10 boss. I definitely am not going to be racing to fight that thing again. Ever. I finally decide to go back to Mohg and face him. And once again, this is another one of those 3 out of 10 changes, honestly. His HP is so inflated that it's just, honestly, an endurance battle by the end of it. But luckily, I was able to get him this time around. Which, thank God, because I did not want to fight him any longer than I already did. But with that over, I can finally go face Morgott. I really hope they didn't do anything stupid with him. That's foreshadowing, by the way. They did do something stupid with him. So, rather than really saying anything during the boss fight, I just kind of want to leave a message for the mod creators. I'm all for changes, but changes to the bosses specifically, I'm not a big fan of. Yeah, is it cool to see a boss that we've fought hundreds of times changed? Yeah. But unnecessary changes to them that don't add anything aren't very good either. For Morgott, for example, he starts off in second phase, which is, I guess cool, but it's nothing special. All it is now he's just in second phase at the start of the fight, before then going into second phase. And then killing him makes him go into a new second phase, where he gets fucking wings? Huh? Oh, and if that wasn't dumb enough, they added Mohg into the fight too. Meaning now you have to face Morgott and Mohg at the same time. Which is a stupid change. Morgott, yeah, isn't a perfect fight, but he's a good fight. What did adding Mohg do for this boss fight? I can tell you, nothing. It added frustration. And that was it. I was able to first try him, but if I didn't come in here with a +9 weapon, with a really good Ash of War, I would have been done. I would have been stuck on this entire fight for way too long. Luckily, Mohg didn't pop up all too much, and by the time he did end up popping up, it was basically at the end of the fight. So, at least there's that, but that's still annoying to go against. At this point, I have no heals left, and I'm just banking on getting the kill. And luckily I do, but that was just unneeded. I genuinely hate everything about that. And sadly, that's not the last time a boss is gonna be changed when they don't need to be changed. I am given the Golden Order Great Axe, which is just the, cool Golden Order Great Sword, but in axe form, which is actually kind of cool. I do like this. The weapons and all that stuff has been really cool. I'll give them that. even if the bosses have been pretty bad. But it's time for me to get this weapon a try. I got the stats for it, and it's a scythe, and as I mentioned before, scythes are one of my favorite weapon classes, so I'm down to use it. But I do end up in an area that once again has a Crucible Knight in it. Oh man, I hope this isn't stupidly just a dumb boss. It isn't. It's actually a good fight. I do actually quite like this fight. It's a bit annoying to go through and he two-shots me at 50 vigor. So, that's fun. It's also really annoying because there's a Stake America nearby that's farther than the Site of Grace. So I kept hitting Stake America that sent me farther away from the boss than the Site of Grace did. I do like this fight a lot more. Unlike the other one that just did a bunch of random flying stuff for half the fight, this one actually feels good. He does flame attacks, he's cool. I like him. He's also got some really sick armor. I love it when a boss has some drip. Speaking of that drip, I can also get his weapon, his really cool sword, and as well his armor, the Fell Crucible armor, which is so cool. I think it would be cooler if I had a cape to it, but otherwise it's one of the coolest armor sets. But now it's time for the Fire Giant. They didn't change the Fire Giant at all, it's just the Fire Giant, and I hate this guy. I've always disliked the Fire Giant, and I always will dislike the Fire Giant. A lot. Sadly, I didn't get him in my first attempt, nor on my second, nor on my third. So, I kinda had to cheat a little. Thank you, Saitama. And I know people are going to be upset at this, but fuck the Fire Giant, I was not going to be stuck on him of all the bosses. And coming up was another terrible boss. The Godskin Duo has now been changed. For the better? Nope. Somehow they made the Godskin Duo worse by making them Ornstein and Smo, but with the AI aggressiveness of a boss from Elden Ring. Meaning the usually fun duo fight from DS1 is now an annoying endurance run. Meaning, this fight sucks. Tremendously. I mean, you can literally see me right now running for my life. Because rather than one playing passively than the other, they're both just hyper-aggressive. Which, you know, isn't good. It's never been good in a fight. Two bosses that are hyper-aggressive have never been good. And this is not an exception. Godskin Duo is already a terrible boss. So making them into a better boss, but not changing how their AI works, is stupid. I mean, you change the AI, because the Godskin Duo actually follows a double boss rule of one of them being passive, the other one actually being in the front. This is the second duo fight that they fucked up in this mod. Yeah, the Helphen Duo was terrible because they were just the Bell Gargoyles, but both of them with hyped up aggressiveness. And this is the same thing. But now it's the Godskin Duo, but it's Ornstein and Smo with even more aggressiveness. Which is, oh, so dumb. I have not played Dark Souls 1 in a hot minute, but I could tell you that my one playthrough, Ornstein and Smo wasn't as aggressive as they are here. Which is good. And I actually enjoyed that fight a lot. But this is just, it's unneeded. I get that they just want to use the nostalgia to their advantage and add a bunch of cool bosses that used to be in the older Dark Souls games, but what's the point when you make them definitively worse than what was already in their position. I would rather fight the Godskin Duo, because at least with that, I know what I'm getting myself into. And you would think, oh, I killed one, now the other one's gonna become Super Smo. No, actually, he just does his butt slam attack, and we get teleported to go fight Vort from DS3. If you could see my face right now, you'd see a level of disappointment that nobody's ever seen before. I am so disappointed in what they did for this. Changing the Godskin Duo into a worse version of a good boss, and then just randomly putting Vort into the fray, who now knows Shadow Clone Jutsu, is just, you've lost me. This is 3 fights in a row now where it's just a plain old, 3 out of 10. But this one is a definitive 0 out of 10. There's nothing good about it. I don't like any of it. There's not a single part of this that I actually like. And you don't even get the remembrance of the 2 you would want to have the remembrance of. Instead, you get the remembrance of the worst part of it. Skipping ahead, I do go and kill Lanciax for a new weapon, the Lanciax Glaive, which is usually an incantation turned into a weapon. But after reading the wiki, I learned that if I also have something that Fortissax drops, I get a new weapon. So that's why I'm here, to kill Fortissax, a fight I hate. I mean, I love the lore, I love the design. I hate fighting him, though. Although, it is funny, because if you kill Lanciax first, it gives you a weapon that does piercing damage. You know, the one thing dragons are weak to. So, yeah. GG easy, first try. But now he gives me Fortissax's Death Spears, and as long as you've had Fortissax's Death Spears and Lanciax's Grave, you can have access to a new weapon at the church I've now been to 3 times. And it's actually a pretty cool weapon. It combines both the glaive and the spear into one weapon in both looks and Ashes of War. That weapon being the Twin Dragon Scythe. Combining them together, giving it this cool design with the gold and black accents of both of them onto it. I said accents wrong, but oh well. With that, I decided to power stance it with the other scythe that I found earlier to create what I'm gonna dub the Edgelord build. Why am I gonna call it the Edgelord build? Well, because I took a screenshot of it, sent it to a friend, and I didn't know what else to say besides it looks like an Edgelord build. So, yeah. If you're wondering, this is what it looked like. The Edgelord build. It's a build that I took to fight the last of the Crucible Knights. And once again, another 0 out of 10 fight. Cambria, the Blightfallen. A death-based boss fight. Which is terrible. Understand that the reason why a madness-based fight worked with Midora was because it wasn't a one-shot kill, and as long as you were good at dodging, you could just avoid the madness buildup. With Cambria, all of her strikes not only cause Death Blight, but leaves a cloud of Death Blight just chilling there. Meaning, even if you were good at dodging, if you're standing in the wrong place at the wrong time, you can just get killed because you were standing in the wrong place. Not to mention, the fight itself is just weirdly paced. It's not a fast boss fight, it's not a slow fight, it's just this weirdly paced fight. I put like 30 runs into first phase alone, and at the end of it, I actually ended up slightly liking it. I thought it was actually kind of fun to fight her. But the main problem would be her second phase. I left the footage uncut so you can see how first phase went, and as you can see, it's not too bad. Her attacks are nice, and nothing about it is over the top besides the Death Blight buildup. If there wasn't any there, I would have been fine. Skipping ahead, I go to the Lake of Rot to finish up Ronnie's questline. And I'm also going to be skipping the Lake of Rot because it sucks. I don't know how they managed to make the worst area in the game worse, but they did. I also changed my weapons to the Vengeance and Glory to feel my desire to play the first Berserker Kazan. But now it's time for Astel, who has been changed to actually be Astel, an Orphan of Cause, which is cool. This is actually not a 1 out of 10 boss fight. This is a really good one. Kind of weird how they, put it at the end of Ronnie's questline, which is, makes sense. It is the best fight that they added, and they put it in the best questline, so makes sense. I am too over-leveled for it, so it's significantly easier, and this grab attack is bugged and doesn't do any damage when it looks like it should. But the only other problem I have is that he'll randomly do this teleporting and do the beam attack that Astel does. Except I learned to dodge this attack based off the sound it makes, so yeah, and it doesn't have any sound now, so it made it quite a bit difficult. But once again, being over-leveled did make this significantly easier, but I'm not playing through this mod ever again, and I'm definitely not doing it just to fight Astel. Again. But all around, I actually like this. Keep this kind of stuff up, and you actually have a good boss for your mod. It's actually good. I like it. It was fun to fight. I wish I wasn't over-leveled, but hey. Can't really fix that problem now. But now it's time to get back to Cambria, sadly. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I just don't like this fight. Not first phase, and then... yeah, there's a second phase. I don't know why they thought a second phase would be a good idea, considering first phase wasn't a good idea. Yeah. Now she's a holy enemy that is got questionable hitboxes, a weird attack that pulls out an orb, and just it's all over the place. The thing that makes fights good, especially in Elden Ring and other Souls games, are fights that have some sort of rhythm to them, that feel good to fight. This doesn't have any of that. They are treating this boss like it's a big, important fight, but it sucks. It's a bad boss. After all of that, I ended up finding another weapon, an Ultra Greatsword that looked really, really cool. And it was time to use this instead. Now, at this time, I had no clue how good this thing could be, so I guess let's go give it a test run. Let's go see how the Soul of Cinder takes to it. Ow. Yeah, that's some pretty good damage. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, god damn it. So, yeah, this thing's Ash of War is crazy. It's, really, really strong. And does a lot of damage because the initial input causes Fire Tempest to happen. And everybody knows how good Fire Tempest is. Even if I died here. Except, just kidding, because it killed him while I died. And got the credit. So, yeah, this thing's kind of busted. Let's try it against Maliketh next. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's a pretty good weapon right here. Okay, I'm gonna keep it 100% with you. At this point, when I started using this weapon, I was done with this mod. I'd fought Maliketh in Cambria a number of times, with Maliketh being changed to have a one-shot attack for some reason, and Cambria was just a bad boss. So I was just done with this whole mod at this point, and I had planned to play a few other mods for Elden Ring that were significantly better and more fun to play. One of them being Elden Ring Reloaded, that I have never played before and was excited to. And this mod was just gatekeeping me from playing those, so yeah, I used this weapon because it was overpowered, and I just wanted this mod to be over with. Kinda like this video, to be honest. That's kind of why the commentary is a little all over the place. I'm just making sure this video gets out before the first Berserker Kazan comes out, because I want to play it and make videos on it. But next up is Mohg, who is actually pretty resistant to fire damage. Let's see how resistant. Not enough, as it seems. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, this weapon's busted. I would have used the Black Flame version, but the difference between this one and the Black Flame version were just so insane. But with this, I can make my way to the DLC, and also get a buttload of runes from that. But when I went to go touch the Withered Arm, I noticed a new sign that said I have to defeat the Blade of Miquella to actually access the Land of Shadows. Uh-oh. So, yeah, they changed it to where you have to beat Malenia. The reason on why will become important here in a minute. But first, we gotta say what's up to Loretta. How you doing, Loretta? You're one of my favorite boss fights. But now, I gotta see if you can stand the heat. It appears like you can stand the heat. All jokes aside, this weapon is actually really good. The only problem is that the Fire Tempest that happens after the Ash of War doesn't stay at where the attack was, it instead follows me, so wherever I move, the Fire Tempest goes to. Meaning that I have to stay close enough to the boss without being able to see what they're doing and not get killed. And I know some people are going to say, well, you just showcase that even if you die, the weapon will do a lot of damage, which is true. But it's kind of, you know, a little weird. But luckily, Loretta just walked into it, so... sorry, Loretta. She also now gives all of her rewards for both versions of her, which is kind of awkward. Wish they had a place for her instead of just giving all the rewards there. Next up, Malenia, Blade of Miquella. And a pain in my ass. Burn, bitch. Once again, all jokes aside, Malenia was actually kind of difficult because they changed her. Waterfowl is now whatever this is. Again, another one of those unneeded changes, where you don't need to change Waterfowl Dance. We took months to figure out how to dodge it. Why change it at all? You've made one of the most annoying moves to learn even more annoying to learn because you changed it for no reason. I genuinely am very upset with a lot of the changes this mod did to the bosses that already existed. And I won't be surprised that if in the future they'll change the DLC bosses, which I consider most of the DLC bosses to be perfect. So I really hope that they don't change them at all, because it would just make them worse. Luckily, Malenia couldn't stand the heat very well, but due to her being a humanoid boss, sometimes she'd fly up into the air, which caused her hitbox to kind of go extinct for a second. I almost one-shot her with that last Ash of War, but she has a little bit left, so she does this weird summoning attack that I've always hated and disliked. And then she hits the waterfowl in my face. And the Scarlet Aeonia. See, it was kind of a bad idea to bring a one-shot weapon into this, because if I didn't one-shot her, she would do all of her moves that she would usually do at lower HP immediately. Also, now the summon's no Waterfowl Dance.
making this fight even worse than it already is with the new changes. But luckily, I was able to win with the power of Bonk. Thank God. I did not want to struggle on this fight. It took about 4 attempts. Even with the OP weapon, it was still annoying because of the changes to Waterfell Dance. But luckily, I get a nice reward of entering the DLC and almost 2 million. God damn. To test out the new and improved boss weapons as well, I go to Cambria with the new and improved Maliketh's Black Blade. Now, I'm gonna be honest, the true weapons for all the bosses are pretty damn cool. Maliketh's especially becomes a lot cooler. Rather than having one kind of BS attack become your Ash of War, it's now this cool flip into it, and your heavy attacks become the cool flipping, well, attacks with the blade. It's really cool. I'll give them that. The weapons have been awesome, and I love what they did to the boss weapons. The bosses themselves suck, but the boss weapons are pretty good. I do assert my dominance over Cambria, though. But next up is Mesmer, to see if he can handle the flame. Usually, I wouldn't mess around with this boss, because I actually think Mesmer is my second favorite fight in the entire Soul series. But, yeah, I couldn't help but see if he could resist the heat. This weapon is just crazy. I don't know what else to say. I mean, he's mid-combo just getting eviscerated. There's one of the 3 required DLC bosses down. With next up being Romina, where they changed the arena to be darker, which sucks because one of the reasons I actually like the Romina fight is it's so vibrant. But she's also weak to fire, so, I just cooked that bug alive. Except she survived at first, so give me 5 seconds to actually cook up some nice centipede, scorpion, whatever the hell she is. Luckily, they haven't changed the DLC fights, but if they end up doing it, fuck it. If this video somehow gets, I don't know, 100 likes, I'll come back when they eventually change the DLC bosses to see if they did anything cool. But lastly is Consort Radahn, the last fight. And the last one they changed, because it's actually not Consort Radahn. Instead, walking in, I just see the tower and notice the lack of bodies on the ground. Walking over towards it, I get to actually climb up it, and, well, there's Malenia's Great Rune on a tree. I slice the tree down, and it plays a new cutscene. And this cutscene enters into a cool idea of a boss fight, but once again, a disappointing and poorly made fight. Where now, instead of it being Consort Radahn, it is now Consort Malenia. Oh boy, this is gonna be one really interesting one to talk about. The cutscene is cool, except the first phase isn't. Because the first phase is all of the fucking bullshit from Mohg. Yeah, she starts out as a Mohg version of Malenia, and it sucks. It's not good. And it's Malenia, meaning she heals on every single hit. And yeah, I mean, look at it. I'll be honest, I didn't want to cheese through this boss because I thought it would be good. Except, after putting like 20 attempts into it, I was just over it. I couldn't figure it out. You're looking at the first attempt, but I'm gonna skip over the rest because it was like an hour of footage. I was not gonna edit into this already over an hour-long video. And that voice crack deserves an hour-long video, god damn it. But yeah, here's the fight. It's Malenia, except done really poorly. I'm honestly so tired at this point. At this point, there's literally been how many new bosses? And I can tell you, out of all of them, only one has been good. The rest aren't. The rest are just not good. I wish I could say at least one of these fights was good, which I can, but it's kind of stupid considering the rest just fucking suck. This new version of Malenia sucks. The changes they made to pre-existing bosses in the base game suck. The bosses themselves that they added that are brand new all fucking suck, with very little standouts. I just wanted to see if this mod was worth it, and can I conclusively come to an end and say, yes, it was good? Not really. I can't really just say, yes, it was good off of 2 or 3 fights, when the rest look like this. I wanted this to be the best that it could be, but it just wasn't. The mod is not in my top mods ever. It's not even close. I do not like this fight. I don't like any of these fights. I don't like this mod. At the end of the day, I didn't enjoy my time. And rather than being happy that I beat it, I was happy that it was over. And that is the problem with this mod, is I didn't feel any joy of actually beating it. I had the joy of now knowing it was over, and I could get to better mods and better games. That is the last thing I should be feeling when I'm playing through a mod that's supposed to make the game better. The whole point of a mod is to change the game for the better. But if at the end of the mod I'm thinking to myself, I'm glad this is over, you failed at your objective of making a better version of the game. So, is the Garden of Eyes worth it? No, not really. If you want to try it out, there are some highlights, and those highlights are good. The weapons are fun, the armor sets are cool, and some of the bosses are actually really well done. But when you come to the bad parts of this mod, it's bad. Like, really bad. Cambria, the changes to Maliketh, Morgott, Malenia, it's all just bad. And I also almost killed Malenia there. God damn it. Forgot I left that in. So, yeah. I hate to sound so depressed at the end of the fight and at the end of this mod, but I couldn't come up with anything good to say besides I'm happy that it's over, and now I can finally go play something else. Wait a minute. I forgot to beat the base game. Yeah, I know, I just went on that huge rant, but, I mean, it's the end of the game here. They didn't change anything. They added water to Radagon's arena, and that's it. They didn't change the last ones, which are fine by me because of how bad the other ones have been so far. I genuinely don't want to play this again, but like I said, if there's 100 likes on this video somehow, I will go back and play through when some more changes are made. But until that happens, I am gladly going to be out of this entire mod. I'm never playing this shit again. I am so ready for it to be over. And with that, everything was beaten. I'm sure I missed some stuff, but I don't care. Fuck this mod.